There goes that word debt. Debt is something that we all have heard about. Some of us have accrued some debt, and then others are paying off their debt. But it's important to understand debt's impact on you. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. My name is Paul Lawrence Van, and I am the founder, producer, and host of Wealth Academy podcast. And I think it's very important for us all to understand that debt plays a role in all of our lives. In fact, it has always played a role in our lives and it always will. And so I'm going to share with you today some things that I believe that you and I should know about debt and its impact on us. And I'm going to share that with you now and to help you better understand it as a part of what I'm trying to achieve here with my Wealth Academy podcast platform. So as you can see, strolling on the screen, it states that the average debt in America is $104,215. Now that includes mortgages, auto loans, student loans, and credit cards. Now, mind you, this does not apply to everyone. However, it's something for all to understand and to get our attention. And also know that debt peaks between the ages of 40 and 49 among consumers with excellent credit scores. And we'll get into credit scores a little bit later. And not on this episode, but in a separate episode that I will be sharing with you. Now, the largest percentage of the average consumer debt balances are mortgages, and that's where most of the wealth resides. And I spoke in a recent episode about inheritance. And when we look at baby boomers, they really are responsible for 55% of all the total what we would call wealth in America. And a lot of it's because many people in the baby boomer generation have paid for their homes. And so once they're free and clear, then that gives them a leg up in terms of being on that stream. So the average debt an American owes, as I stated before, is $104,215. Mortgages, home equity lines of credit, auto loans, student loan debt, which is just a whole other episode as well. But let's talk about it a little bit in terms of how we arrive at this number. And a lot of it has to do with, let's say, mortgage debt. And the total balance for the first quarter of 2024 for mortgage debt, excluding home equity loans, was $12.44 trillion. Home equity loans come in at 376 billion. Auto loans come in at 1.6 trillion. And then credit card debt comes in at 1.15 trillion. Student loan debt comes in at 1.6. And so that total debt, when we look at it all, just in the first quarter of this year, is $17.69 trillion. Now, that's a staggering figure. And those numbers really just knock your socks off. But it's something that people really have to deal with. And it's part of what I'm going to be talking to you about today. So if we looked at the debt trends, it peaks somewhere around middle age. And I guess those are the formative years of one's professional career. I can make that example of when I was working for the Department of Defense, that my best years were my highest ranking, military ranking years. And so that really accounted for the most of the income that I earned was in those years leading up to retirement. And so as a whole, Americans tend to pay off debt going into retirement and then tend to keep debt balances low in retirement, especially for people over age 70. And the largest source of debt for those under 30 is mortgages because one is just starting out. And that reminds me of the time when I had left the military after 8 years and I went to work for Mobile Oil Company. And I purchased my very first house in Texas. And I was about 30 years old, give or take. I was right in that same number. So these numbers hold up. And so let's take a look now at the average total debt, and this would be for 2023, based on the following generations. So if we looked at Generation Z, so that would be people between the ages of 18 and 26. They average total debt is about $30,000. And then for millennials, those are ages 27 to 42, is 125,000. I would surmise that a lot of that is probably because of student loan debt. And then Generation X is 157,000. Baby boomers and Generation X is people between the ages of 43 and 57. And then when we look at baby boomers, ages 58 to 77, their average total debt is about 95,000. In the silent generation, those who are 79 and over, it's about $38,000. So as you can see, we have a lot of debt in America. Now, if we base this on credit score ranges, uh, so what this tells us is that the amount of debt that someone owes is related to what their credit score is. So someone with a good credit score, they can probably get almost anything they want. But a person who has bad credit, on the other hand, they tend not to be able to have as much debt because they're not being extended loans, and that makes a total difference. So let's say the highest or excellent credit is between 800 and 850. So the total average debt is about $159,000. Now, those with credit scores of 740 to 799, their average debt is 102,000. 108,000 rather, because that shows you that the higher your credit score is, the more that one can get. So good credit is considered uh, anywhere between 670 and 739, and that comes in at about 95,000. And those with credit scores of 580 to 669, that's fair credit, and their overall total average debt is 68,000. And then those with poor credit, 300 to 579 is poor credit, so that's their total average debt is about 44,000. So you can see there's a relationship between one's debt, average debt, and their credit score. So the higher the credit score, the more of a average debt balance one has, because more credit is extended for people. It may be for a house, it may be for a car, it could be paying for someone's children's tuition for college. And so debt and the credit scores are tied hand in hand. And so this gives you a really good idea about credit. And I think it's very important that we understand that. And now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to provide this slide here so that you can see ways to get out of debt. And here are two very good ways to get out of debt. One could look at using the debt snowball. Now, this focuses on paying off the smallest debt first, and then you move on to the second largest debt, so on and so forth. And so some people take this route, or you can do the debt avalanche. Now, the debt avalanche is pretty good because it really focuses on the highest interest someone has on a debt balance. So you focus on paying off the highest interest rate debt first, then you move to the second highest interest rate debt. And that actually will save you money because you're not paying, you're actually paying for something that you're not getting. In other words, the more and longer it takes to pay off a debt, the more interest you're paying. So you're getting further, further behind and further into debt as a result. So there are two choices. I can't make them for you, but you have one that's the debt snowball. That sounds to me to be a very rational way to look at things. So you pay off the smallest debt first. And what does this do? Great question. What it does, it gives you that confidence that, hey, if I paid off one bill and not go back, I repeat, not go back and recharge the card or open up another loan or continue to purchase things and stuff, then you'll be fine. So that's the key to that debt snowball is once you pay it off, don't turn the credit card back in or whatever you happens to be you got the in debt with, but keep that card, just use it only in an emergency. And then if you use the debt avalanche, you're going to likely take you a little bit longer to pay off the highest interest debt that you have out there, primarily because it's probably on a higher amount of debt. And so these are just a couple of examples to consider: debt snowball and debt avalanche. There's nothing new about these. It's just helping you to think and formulate in these ways from a financial literacy perspective, and then to go levels deeper, to go into financial intelligence, where you're really looking at every aspect of financial management of your personal finances, of course. And so, one of the things that I want to talk to you about is that we all need that time in our lives where we just decided, I really don't want to be a debtor anymore. I want to be a lender. And there are some ways that you can take the money that you earn once you've gotten out of debt, and you want to be able to lend money to people. And you can set up contracts with people to loan them money. You can set your own interest rate on it, and you'll be able to make money on the money that you have. And so it's better definitely be a lender than a borrower, as long as you have a lawyer in place and a accountant in place to help you with it. And so, debt and its impact on you, it impacts everyone, because everyone at some point in their lives are going to have some debt. And one of the things to do is to choose a repayment method and then set a goal. And one of those goals, if I was looking at finishing strong in 2024, is to pay off all of your debts if you can. I know we all can't do that, but you want to give yourself a chance. So when you start out 2025, and let's make that one of our goals, that would be one of your homework assignments, is to pay off and work to pay off all your debt. Maybe looking at that snowball approach or the avalanche approach, and or you can consider consolidating or refinancing while interest rates are low. And we know that there's a possibility that the Federal Reserve may lower the interest rates, and if so, it may be time to jump on that situation. And then there are debt relief plans out there. That's another thing. And when we look at this, we want to also look at, well, how much does the average American pay in debt each month? So the average American household pays $1,583 in debt payments each month. And of course, that's a combination of different things, and it varies according to who you happen to be. But the thing I want you to really take from this particular episode, and it's this: just like you, I've been in debt sometimes. I don't even know how I got in debt when I was younger. And I think a lot of it's because I simply did not understand how money worked. But now I do. And so my mission is to help more people be able to do this. And I know that you're capable of it. So one of the things that I want you to do before I leave, of course, is to go visit the YouTube channel, and I have it here: www.youtube.com/the at symbol Wealth Academy podcast and videos /videos, and then schedule a financial coaching session as well. You can do that with me, and I have this on the board as well as something that you can do. And what I'm going in here, I'm doing right now, is I'm just simply adding to YouTube, um, my YouTube URL, so that you can go in here, and you'll be able to watch this video in its entirety. And so I'll post it back up here so that you can see it. And it should be coming in just 1 minute. There you go. And so one of the things to do is to always ensure that you have a way to be able to get out of a bad financial situations. But you can go to youtube.com, the at symbol Wealth Academy podcast /videos, and then schedule a financial coaching session with me. It's just 15 minutes, and we can not only talk about where you are today and where you stand with your financial literacy, but also to look at the financial intelligence that's involved. This is going to end this particular session. And when you're out there on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be providing new information and new content all the time. So thank you very much. And I'll see you on the next episode when I talked about something even more interesting as it applies to your finances and my finances. Have a great day. Paul Lawrence Fan, thanking you very much. Enjoy your day.